Greetings of the day, everyone. I, Tufail Sharif, feel privileged to welcome you all to the first children's edition of Orange City Literature Festival, organized by SGR Knowledge Foundation in association with the GH Raisoni University, powered by Raisoni Group of Institutions. The motive behind the fest is to explore the ways that should help the students to develop their emotional intelligence. Exposing children to quality literature can contribute to the creation of responsible, successful, and caring individuals. Growing up and adulting is indeed fascinating at the kid's age. The hustling and bustling life becomes a routine for the grown up. But as a kid, we don't appreciate the freedoms and zeal to outshine among others. The book, When I Grow Up, I Want to Be, focuses on how the children can spread their wings and fly limitless in order to achieve their goals. And this book is beautifully penned down by the speaker of the hour, Madam Rochelle Pinto, ma'am. Now I request Vidhi to please introduce the speaker to the audience. Over to you, Vidhi.
So the speaker of the hour is Rochelle Pinto, ma'am. She's a journalist, author, and radio personality. She co-wrote her first book with Kareena Kapoor Khan at the age of 23. She was the youngest columnist at the Hindustan Times. She has led teams at Vogue, GQ, and Elle magazine before coming and becoming the founding editor of Tweak India, a media company launched by Twinkle Khanna. So, without further ado, I request Rochelle to continue with the session.
Okay, thank you so very much for having me. I hope everyone can hear me. Yeah, can I just get like a thumbs up if everyone is able to hear me? Okay, great. This is really special for us because while I am here today to talk to you, it wasn't just me writing this book. It was my entire team of writers, and we put this book together with a lot of love and a lot of care and a lot of struggle because honestly, we had not written for kids before. We're used to writing for adults, and we realized in the course of writing for children that we had to kind of change our brains a little bit, you know. So it was challenging, it was fun. The reason we decided to do this book is because we realized that whenever you talk to young people in India and you ask them, who's your hero, who's someone you look up to, oftentimes the answer will be Mahatma Gandhi or somebody else who, Mother Teresa, all of these icons who've really shaped the nation, but also they've not been around on this planet for quite a while. And we thought, hey, in all these years, surely there are more interesting people, who've made India proud in different ways. And also, we didn't want it to be just these sort of unattainable names, these heroes that we hear about that we feel like, oh, I'll never be like that. We thought that there are so many young people, quite like the young faces that I see on this chat today, young people, older people, people from different parts of India, people from different age groups, people from different backgrounds, speaking a multitude of languages, who have contributed to this country in ways that perhaps we thought was important to celebrate, to highlight, and to fill young minds like yours with the hope that, hey, even if you're just a school kid, somewhere in a small town in India, there is a chance for you to change your life and the lives of others and change the course of history in the country. For example, we have a boy, we call him Robot Boy, and he started building robots at the age of 4. Now, at the age of 4, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was just playing in the mud, getting hurt, getting into trouble, playing gully cricket with my cousins. I wasn't building robots. And then we have another young boy who was called Chote Master, who started tuition classes on his own for kids. And he's now taught over 10,000 kids in almost 300 plus villages because his parents were IAS officers and they supported him. So we may not read about these people in newspapers. We may not have so and so Jayanti to celebrate them. We may not get a holiday, unfortunately. I know we all love holidays, but we may not get a holiday on their birthdays. But these are all names that we thought were really important to inspire young people and help them see that there is no one way to be. If you just double down on your strengths and you kind of think about what you can bring, what is your special skill, then the sky is the limit. And not even the sky, as we've learned in the case of Sushmita Mohanty, who was one of the she has a space company, and we have the Rocket Woman of India who's sent rockets beyond the sky. So really, there is no limit if you just allow your imagination to fly, if you just have the courage of your convictions, and if you just learn to help each other. So having said that, I would just love to do a short little quiz. This honestly was geared for a slightly younger audience, but I'm hoping it will be fun nonetheless for everybody. So I want to know from all the people on this chat, you can unmute yourselves now. Who is your favorite superhero? You could just maybe put your hand up, or if you could just shout the name. Do we have anybody who wants to go? How about Raksha? Raksha, who's your favorite superhero? Okay, Raksha's Parth. Maybe you want to tell me who's your favorite superhero?
My father.
Your father. Okay. That's a great answer. And, I'm sure your father would be very happy. But I bet you don't go to the movies to watch your father on screen, right? So, guys, let's be honest here. Who is your favorite superhero? Whose, movies or books or t-shirts you wear? Riddhi, how about you go? Maybe I think everyone's a little bit nervous. They're not used to be asked questions like this. So tell me, who's your favorite superhero?
Till now, I'm really fascinated by Iron Man.
Iron Man. There you go. So I bet you were really sad at the end of Avengers when Iron Man died, right?
So much.
I hope this is not a spoiler for anybody. Guys, we all know that Iron Man died in the last movie, right? Okay, great. Could I have some more ideas? Like, Parth, you want to go again? Who do you think is your favorite superhero?
I'm Kapil Dev.
Okay, Parth is sticking to the greatest hits. Okay, Kapil Dev, that's amazing. Anybody else wants to go? I can't see too many names, so I'm not sure. I think Raksha has turned off her camera only. She got so scared. Tanaya, could we have you tell us who is your favorite superhero?
Kalpana Chawla.
Kalpana Chawla. I'm loving the names that the kids on this chat are sharing with us. It's very cool. I love to see that they are so aware of our Indian culture. Sanchita, do you have a superhero? Maybe something from a comic book or a movie. There's no wrong answer, Sanchita. If you don't watch superhero movies, that's also fine. You can just say, sorry, I don't watch superhero movies. Do you want to share with us? Okay, Sanchita's turned off her camera. Fine. I guess I'm scaring people more than anything else. So anyway, we hear Iron Man, we hear of Batman, we hear of Wonder Woman. There are all these cool names. But I wanted to know if you guys have ever heard of somebody called the Iceman. Have you heard of the Iceman? Safe to say, no one's heard of the Iceman, right? Okay, well, in our very country, we have somebody who's called the Iceman of India. His name is Chawang Norfel, and he did something that was impossible. Okay, it was considered impossible. He froze entire rivers 3,000 meters above sea level. Now that is taller. Have all of you seen a skyscraper? Has everyone seen a skyscraper? Like, those really tall buildings that you see in cities like Bombay and Delhi. So now imagine 6 of those tall buildings, one on top of the other. That's how high this river is. It's called a glacier. And he managed to freeze that. Now, not, of course, using any superpower, but with his intelligence and with his education. And the reason he did that is because he comes from a place called Ladakh. Does everybody know where Ladakh is? Ladakh is in the extreme north of our country, right? And now the problem in Ladakh is for most of the year, the climate there is very cold. And so the rivers are frozen, the water is frozen. Now, how do these people have enough water to, bathe their children, to drink, to grow their crops? It was a huge problem in Ladakh. But the Iceman of India, whose name is Chawang Norfel, he managed to come up with this brilliant idea of building artificial glaciers so that when the sun rose in summer and when the glaciers melted, they were able to have enough water to feed their crops, to feed their herds, to wash their clothes, and to drink, which is something that a lot of us take for granted, right? A lot of us think, oh, we just open a tap and water comes out. But in many parts of this country, that's not true. Now, how many of you like to go to the beach? Okay, I see one. I see two. Riddhi, are you a beach person or are you a mountain person?
A bit of a mountain person.
You're a bit of, sorry?
Mountain person.
You're a bit of a mountain person. Okay. But what if I told you that there's there are entire beaches in this country which are so dirty that you can't even see the sand. It's just mountains and mountains of plastic. I'm sure you guys have seen these photos. It's so depressing. Now, sometimes when we see problems like this that we feel are too big for us, our reaction is, what'll I do? I'm just a kid. What'll I do? I'm just one person. There's no way that I can help, right? Now, it's amazing that there are some people who think, you know what, even if I'm just one person, I'm going to do the best I can. And one such person is somebody called Afroz Shah. He's from Bombay. In fact, he lives very close to where I live in Bombay. And he removed, I'm not joking, guys, he removed 20 million tons of garbage from the ocean, from the beach. It was a movement he started himself. He went down to the beach and he convinced his 80-year-old neighbor to join him. And they started by just going themselves, these two men, cleaning the beach every weekend. And people thought, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, this is not your job. This is the government's job. This is the municipality's job. This is someone else's job. And he said, you know what? I live on this beach and it's as much my job as anybody else's. And slowly this grew and more people were inspired. And eventually it became the world's biggest beach cleanup. He even has a Guinness Book World Record. I don't know if your generation thinks that's very cool, but when I was young, Guinness Book World Records were like the coolest thing ever. And now, thanks to Afroz, the turtles returned to this beach after more than 20 years. Now, isn't that cool? You take a beach, which you don't even see it as a beach, it's become a garbage dump. It's just completely covered with plastic. And then you work and you work and you work. And then after a period of 2 or 3 years of hard work every weekend, you manage to change this beach to one that is now almost a paradise. And the turtles return. I think that's so cool. Does everybody think that's cool? Does that inspire you to start cleaning up in your neighborhood? Yeah, okay. I'm glad to hear that. Now, I have a bit of a funny fact for you. Do you know that an elephant poops every 2 hours? Were you guys aware of that? And you know the size of the elephant, right? So you can imagine this. You know what poop is, right? Am I allowed to use this word? Yeah, everyone goes in the morning to the toilet, right? Now we go once or twice a day, maybe, hopefully. If you go more than that, guys, you should see a doctor. But the elephant does this naturally every 2 hours. And an elephant is so huge, it's like 7-8 times bigger than us. So imagine how big the elephant poop is, right? Now imagine if there was an elephant in your street and it was pooping every day on your street every 2 hours. Imagine how much poop that would be. You wouldn't be able to drive your car out of your house, right? But there was this, so there are lots of elephants in Assam, and there was this beautiful father-daughter duo who thought, the father's name is Mahesh, the daughter's name is Nisha, and they realized that not only was elephant poop becoming a problem, but also these elephants were being hunted. We know that there are poachers, right? And the poachers kill the elephants for their tusks. Now, Mahesh and Nisha wanted to protect the elephants, and they thought, how can we do this? And then they realized there was a company in Rajasthan. I believe I'm talking to people in Rajasthan right now, right? You guys are in Rajasthan? No? Where's everybody from?
Ma'am, mostly Maharashtra.
Oh, Maharashtra. Okay, great. So in Rajasthan, which I'm sure everybody knows where that is, there was a company that was making paper out of elephant poop. Now, would you write on paper? Would you touch paper made of elephant poop? I'd like to see a show of hands. Is that something you think you might do? If your school book was written on elephant poop, would you use it, or would you be a little like, no, this is elephant poop? Thumbs up or thumbs down if you would use like paper made of elephant poop. Oh, that's pretty brave of you. No, Riddhi's saying no. Okay, well, Parth, I'm impressed. Yes, it is. It is definitely. I mean, trust me, they've cleaned it. They put it through, whatever cleanliness processes are in place. But what's so cool is that thanks to these people, thanks to Mahesh and Nisha, coming up with ways to turn this elephant and rhino poop, by the way, rhinoceroses, turn elephant and rhino poop into paper. They managed to start a whole new industry. They managed to save a lot of elephants' lives, and even the villagers who used to hunt the elephants and the rhinos themselves realized that, hey, we don't need to kill this beautiful animal to make money. We can, in fact, live a very sustainable life. We can collect this poop and we can turn it into paper and we can make wonderful items out of this, like from lampshades to books to greeting cards to, you name it. And now, thanks to them, there's a huge conservation project happening in Assam that is saving all of these elephants and rhinoceroses that otherwise were endangered species. Now, isn't that cool? I think we should just like all give a round of applause for these amazing Indians who've used their intelligence, they've used their imaginations, and they've come up with wonderful ways in which to really save the environment, make a change in people's lives, and inspire, hopefully, future generations, much like yourselves. So that was my little session, and thank you so much for participating. I hope that we and have an even more enjoyable session to go. And if anybody has any questions, now is the right time to jump in and ask them.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, moving forward with the interactive session, so I'll just point out the children, the kid's name, and he or she can just go and ask a question.
Sure.
So, shall we start with Mehak? Mehak, if you have any questions.
Yes, I have one question.
Hi, Mehak.
Hi, ma'am. Why did Afroz decided to clean the Verosa beach?
So Afroz grew up in Versova, and he left because he went to study. And when he came back, and he had memories, of going to the beach as a young child, playing in the water, having picnics with his friends, which I'm sure all of you have memories, right? Of a place near your house that maybe you go to the playground, maybe you go to the park, maybe you go to the football stadium. I'm not sure what is available in and around your areas, but I'm sure you all have that one place that when you went that you would go to as a kid, perhaps you still go to play. Now imagine if you leave for your education and you come back after 10, 15 years, and that place where you enjoyed, spending so much of your childhood is now just so dirty and so filthy that no children can go there. Nobody else can go and play there. Wouldn't it break your heart? It would break mine. I'm from Goa, and whenever I see the beaches in Goa being dirty, it really makes me so sad because I remember how when I was a kid, I would go and spend summer holidays there. So I think Afroz felt that he was so moved, he was so upset to see how this place that he had such fond memories of as a child had become so dirty that he felt, I have to do something. And he thought, you know what? Everyone just sits back and says, it's not my job. It's someone else's job. It's the cleaner's job. It's the government's job. It's the municipality's job. It's the building society's job. I'm sure we have that in our own homes, right? Like if it's dirty, we don't think, hey, let me go and clean something. You might think, oh, it's the maid's job. It's mama's job. It's my older sister's job. So that is unfortunately the way we think for jobs that we don't like to do. We try and either delay it as much as possible, or we hope that someone else will do it and we can just get away with it, right? Even I'm guilty of doing the same thing. But Afroz, and that's what makes him so remarkable, is he decided, I'm not going to wait for anybody else. I'm going to do this myself because I think that I can make a difference. He didn't feel like, oh, I'm just one guy. What'll I do? He felt, I'm one person. If I start, I'm sure that other people will join. And he was right. And right from the biggest of the biggest Bollywood celebrities, from your Amitabh Bachchan to your Ajay Devgan, Kajol, whoever are your favorite Bollywood celebrities, they started joining. The UN noticed Afroz's work and they made him an ambassador for the UN. So his name became famous internationally, not just in Bombay. And He inspired so many other people around the country to start beach cleanups in their neighborhoods. I'm very proud to say that I used to live in an area called Mahim, and over there we had a beach. And without exaggeration, when I moved there, you couldn't see the sand. There were almost like 6 feet like high garbage, and we started a beach cleanup on Mahim Beach, and now kids play volleyball there. There are dogs that come and run around there. They've built a swing. There are fishermen who bring their boats there. There are children and families who go for walks on the beach. And every time I visit Mahim Beach and every time I go for a cleanup, I feel so proud that I was part of something that looked impossible. When I first moved to Mahim, I thought, where is the beach? I can only see dirt and garbage and plastic as far as the eye can see. And now I can actually take my friends there. I've celebrated New Year there once. We went down to the beach and we lit firecrackers. Shouldn't light firecrackers, guys. We lit like not the ones that make noise, not the ones that hurt animals, but just the what is it called? Full jari, the one that just has like a few sparks, because firecrackers are really bad for the environment. So I would not encourage that. But we were able to participate and enjoy the fruits of our labor. So I do hope that all of you, especially you, Mehak, take after Afroz's example and start a cleanup drive in your neighborhood, even if it's just cleaning your building compound, even if it's just cleaning your neighborhood, getting together a few kids and saying, come on, guys, let's show people what is possible. And of course, the thing you can do in your own house is reduce the use of plastic as much as possible, because we all know plastic is not biodegradable. So let's not create a problem and then worry about how to solve it, right? I'm so confident that your generation is going to be the generation that really understands, the impact that we have on the environment and how we need to protect it. And so I have two hopes for all of you. One is that you stop using plastic as much as possible. And the second hope is that you participate or you start your own cleanup drive in your neighborhood, in your building compound, and inspire others. Thank you for your question, Mehak.
That is indeed a wonderful job you did there, Rochelle, of cleaning up the beach. It takes a lot of effort doing all these.
It really does. It's every Saturday and in the hot sun, and we have our little hats and we have our gloves. And sometimes it's really frustrating, Riddhi, because you clean the beach and the next week you come there and it looks like you've not cleaned anything. It looks like
Oh God.
so much more plastic. But that just goes to show how much we are destroying the environment. And the thing that people don't realize is that they are eating the fish that comes from the sea. Now, the fish are just filled with plastic, right? I actually turned vegetarian very recently because I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, this is crazy. I can't see this. But at the same time, I feel very hopeful because I can see young kids coming to clean up the beach. I can see older people coming to clean up the beach. So it feels like people are beginning to take responsibility. I think people are beginning to realize the impact. And if even one person on this group chat decides, you know what, I'm going to start my own cleanup, or I'm going to stop using single-use plastic. I'm going to take my, bag with me from the house when I go shopping. I'm going to take my own water bottle. I'm not going to buy water bottles. I think I'll be, that'll make it all worth it.
I'm pretty sure one of the kids will implement a few things in their daily life. Like,
I hope so.
we have started doing this.
I hope so.
Now we have started charging for the bags and the bottles. It's better we carry our own.
Exactly. And it shouldn't always be that way, right? We shouldn't wait for it to become like, someone's charging us or fining us or shouting at us. We should realize that these are things we need to do because this is our world.
Absolutely.
This is our environment. If we don't do it, then, what are we going to inherit? So I think it's amazing if any of you decide that you want to launch something like this. I would be very, very pleased to have any kind of part to play in it.
That's great. So, moving forward to the second question, can we have your question, Tanaya?
What did Arunima Sinha's life teaches us?
So Arunima Sinha's life teaches us that sometimes we may feel like the world is a very difficult place, and we may feel like I don't have the capability, right? Maybe I am too small, maybe I'm too young, maybe I'm too short, maybe I'm too thin, too weak. And we keep kind of telling ourselves that we can't do this. It's too difficult. I need to be stronger. I need to be richer. I need to be more famous. I need to be better educated. I need to come from a big famous family. Arunima Sinha's story reminds us that all we need is our own determination. And despite the fact that she is physically, found it difficult to do what she did, she still persevered. She still forged ahead and she did something incredible. And in doing so, she set an example for so many other girls. And I know that, this is a talk with girls and boys and perhaps people of other genders. And I'm so glad that we're all here today. But I think we can all agree that sometimes girls are more protected, right? Like our mothers and fathers sometimes tell us, no, it's not safe. You shouldn't go out. You shouldn't play sports. Sometimes they tell us things like, don't go out in the sun because you'll get tanned, you'll get dark. And that puts a lot of ideas in our minds. It makes us feel like we are not capable, right? Sometimes if you have a brother or you have a cousin, you'll see that the cousin brother or the brother is allowed to go out and do whatever he wants, but the girls are kept very protected, right? Now, I understand that parents feel like they have to protect their girls. I'm also from a family of two girls, so I totally understand that. But what Arunima showed us is that it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. It just matters if you have the determination, if you are willing to work hard, you can do anything. I was very privileged to actually meet very recently a pair of sisters, Tashi and Nungshi. And they are the youngest twins to ever climb all the 7 peaks in across the world. Okay, there are 7 famous peaks that are very tall. Mount Everest is one of them. And they come from an army background. Their father is in the army. And they also tell us that, even though my dad is in the army, even though we have been climbing since a very young age, our families were not comfortable with the idea that, we are girls, what will happen, what's too dangerous. And they really had to fight. They really had to fight to be able to do this. So I hope that all the girls on this chat are inspired to push the limits, are inspired to do something that is adventurous and do something that makes them feel strong and makes them feel that they are capable. And I hope all the boys on this chat are supportive of the women in their lives, whether it's your classmates or your sisters or your cousins or even your mothers, because that's the only way that we are going to improve the society we live in. It's not only one person's responsibility. It's the responsibility of the girls to show that they're capable, and it's the responsibility of the men and the boys to support them, because no one is capable of doing anything alone. We all need each other. So I'm hoping that that is what we'll be able to achieve, and I hope that's the lesson that Arunima leaves us with.
Absolutely. So moving forward, if we can have Kaustubh's question.
I think Kaustubh may not be on this chat.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you are? Okay. Hi, Kaustubh.
Hi, ma'am. Why did not the villager come to Dr. Bank?
So, Kaustubh, the Bhangs were, they were entering a small village. Now, I'm sure that if you guys if you live in a neighborhood, let's say you live in a building society, right? And a new person comes to the building society, you might be friendly, you might listen to them, but if they dress very differently from you, if they speak a different language, if they look different, you might take time, right, to make friends with them. You might take time to open up to them. So that was the same. The villagers were not used to seeing people from the big city coming there, and the villagers did not have big hospitals or clinics before the Bhangs came. So they were a little scared. They felt like, who are these people? Why should we trust them? Why do they know more than we do? We've been doing the same thing for so many years. How can these people from the city come and tell us that what we're doing is wrong? So the Bhangs had to come up with a totally different way to approach it. They realized that if we come from the city with our fancy clothes and our speaking a different language, and then we force our ideas on the villagers, that's not going to work because nobody likes someone else telling them what to do. So what the Bangs did is that they realized that they needed to make the villagers feel comfortable. They needed to first learn to speak the same language, to be the same as the villagers. And only once they did that, did they get accepted by the villagers. And then once they started obviously doing good work, and once they started saving the villagers' babies, then the villagers began to trust them. But throughout, it's very important, I think, to to respect other people's cultures, to have a society where we are all able to blend together. Sometimes, especially now in the world we live in, we see that people tend to fight more when they are from different communities, when they're from different religions, when they're from different parts of the world and or parts of the country. And what really makes this country so strong is the fact that we've lived in harmony. We've lived together, no matter what our surnames are, no matter what we look like, no matter what food we eat, how we dress. I'm from Goa. I live in Bombay. I speak English. I look a certain way. My name sounds a little strange, Rochelle Pinto. Maybe some of you have never even heard this name before, right? But we are Indian. We're all here on this chat together. We're all learning from each other. And I think that's what the Bangs managed to do. They managed to realize that, hey, we need to find a way to connect with each other, and we need to find a way to respect each other's beliefs so that we're able to do something amazing together. So I hope that answers your question, Kaustubh. Thank you for asking that.
Indeed, like blending together and blending among other traditions and cultures is really needed these days because we get to meet a lot of people and from different backgrounds. And
I
I just find this very exciting or very nice that different backgrounds gives us more knowledge. Like,
Absolutely. It's like eating dal chawal every day, right? Would you want to eat dal chawal every day for the rest of your life? Or do you want to taste biryani? Do you want to taste malai kofta? Do you want to taste some tandoori? And that's what happens when you bring people from different backgrounds together. We are able to share like a wedding buffet. When you go to a wedding, imagine if you went to a wedding and all you saw was dal chawal. You would be so upset. You go to a wedding, you want to see multiple dishes, right? That's what is so beautiful about our country, is that we come from different places, we speak different languages, we have different cultures, we worship different gods, but we should all realize that without each other, we have no future. And I think that is,
that's true.
and I hope that each and every one of you really believes in this philosophy and is able to teach this philosophy to the people around you.
Absolutely true. Moving forward, we can have Sanchita, your question.
Yes. Does your family support your career as a writer?
What a lovely question, Sanchita. Thank you for asking me that. I am very lucky that my parents were both art students. So, from a very young age, I did not have any pressure that you should only do science or you should only do commerce, you should become a doctor. And my dad is somebody who encouraged me to do various small part-time jobs when I was very young. So when I was 11 years old, I became an RJ on the radio in Goa, a child RJ. After that, I started working in an event management organization. I interned in newspapers. So from a very young age, during my summer holidays or any other holidays, I would do all of these things that I thought were my interests. I wasn't just spending them playing. Of course, I was playing. Of course, I was vacationing. I was going to the beach and swimming, but I was also doing these things. So I kind of proved to my parents from a young age that I knew what I was doing. I had a vision for my life, and it's okay if you don't know what you're doing. It's okay to try different things. It's okay to one summer feel like you want to be a cricketer, or next summer feel like you want to be a writer, you want to be an artist. I would say that you should explore all of these things, and you should try different interests to see what suits you. My family, I'm very, very lucky, very privileged, and I'm so aware of my blessing that my parents were always very supportive. Of course, they had certain rules, like as long as I was staying in Goa, I had a 7:30 deadline. If I came home even at 7:35, I was grounded. I wasn't allowed to go out the next day. So they were very strict. But as far as my career was concerned, they have given me the support I need. I left home when I was very young. I was 16 when I left my house in Goa and came to Bombay. I don't know how old. How old are you, Sanchita?
I'm 14 years.
14, right. So I was only 2 years older than you when I left my home in Goa and I came to live alone in Bombay and I started studying here. But I have to say that because my parents gave me such a strong foundation, like they taught me how to be independent and they let me be independent, um, I was able to do all the things that I've done so far. And I know that tomorrow, if I decide to change my profession and do something else, they would be supportive of me. I know that that's not a luxury many people have, but I would say that it was also the fact that my parents were supportive and I fought for what I wanted. I was very clear that I want to be independent. I want to make my own money. I want to do the thing that I love the most because I want to wake up every day and be excited to go to work. I don't want to wake up every day and say, oh, I have to go to work again. So I'm very lucky that my parents understood this. And I hope that all of you are able to, follow your dreams and do the things that you love doing. Thank you for that question. It was a lovely question.
Hopefully, after they complete their schooling, they'll have a path to follow.
Okay.
So next is Parth. Can we have your question?
Ma'am, how do you select the names of your characters?
So these are all real people parts. So we didn't have to select any names for the characters. We just had to decide whose stories we wanted in the books, right? And we have 2 books. And we have 20 people in each book. So that's 40 people in total. Now, what we wanted was, we were very clear, we wanted to have people from different parts of the country because we thought, oftentimes the media only focuses, and we are part of the media tends to focus on Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Chennai, the cities. So we wanted people from different parts of India. We wanted people from different age groups. We were very clear that because this is a children's book, we wanted to have children in it. We wanted to have inspiring kids. We wanted to have inspiring adults. We wanted to have people from different parts of the country, age groups, as I already mentioned, doing different things. Like we wanted somebody who was doing things for the environment, somebody who was doing things for animals, someone who was doing things for healthcare, someone who was doing things in science and literature and music. So we knew that we had to cover all the things that this country is famous for, and some things that this country is not famous for also, because it's important for kids to see what's possible because they only read about the most common things, right? So we have Mr. Prajapati, for example, who was an inventor, and we have somebody who built robots, and we have somebody who planted an entire forest all by himself. So once we started searching for names from different parts of the country, different age groups, different religious backgrounds, that was also very important to us because sometimes, we're living in times where there's a lot of religious conflict, and we wanted this book to be a hopeful book. We wanted this book to be one that everyone felt included. Nobody should feel left out. And we wanted there to be enough girls and enough boys and enough people from other genders also, and people who look very different from us, and people whose families look very different from ours. Because the idea is, especially for young minds like yours, there's so much to discover. Right now you guys are living in your neighborhoods, in your perhaps your cities, your towns, and you think that the world is just your city and your town, and you don't really know how wide and amazing and different and just exciting the world is. And we were hoping through these books to be able to expand. Maybe you aren't able to step out of your town right now, but at least through this book you'll be able to travel to different parts of India and meet different kinds of people and be inspired by their stories. And then maybe when you're adults, you can actually visit these places and meet these people and hopefully start something of your own. I would love it if somebody on this chat is in our next book. That would be so cool.
Absolutely. So we can have the last question from the kids. Raksha, can we have your question? And then we'll end with the interactive session.
How do books get published?
Well, for us, we were very lucky that we had a publisher. So you need a publisher, somebody who actually publishes and prints the books. And if you're asking me about the process starts with you first doing all your research, which is what I was talking about earlier in the question that Parth asked me. We do all of our research, and then we have 50 names, and then from 50 we bring it down to 40, from 40 we bring it down to 30, and then finally we decide these are the 20 names. Then we all sit and write the stories, because we divided the stories amongst ourselves, and everybody wrote a few stories. Then we go through multiple rounds of what we call editing, which is where I was the editor for this book. So I sat and I helped the writer fine tune the story and make it the best possible version of itself. And then we handed it over to the publisher, who, they did some editing also. And then there was a lot of back and forth, lots of emails. Every day I would have to read 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 words. We were lucky to have an illustrator who did beautiful cartoons that we put in our books. And then finally, once we were all happy with it, we printed the books and we released them to the public. And then, hopefully young children like you would be able to pick it up and read it and be excited about the stories you read in them. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so among the audience, little curious mind, even I had a bit of curiosity. While you were editing or while you were reading so many stories, was there any particular story that actually surprised you? Like, how can this kid or how can this person do this at such a young age?
Oh my gosh, no, you're absolutely right. There were so many stories that surprised me. I mean, there's Mr. Norfell, who I thought really, somebody from a small state who does not have access to technology is able to do something that can really change not just his own life or the life of his people in his village, but the entire state, right? I thought that was absolutely brilliant. There is a story of a lady called Bibi Kaur, who was abandoned as a child. She was an orphan, and she decided to open up a home for orphan girls, because she knew that more often, unfortunately, in this country, people abandon baby girls because people still think that, boys, sons are better than daughters. And so she decided that if these girls don't have mothers, I will be their mother. And she has, over the period of some, a decade or so, she has taken in more than 60 girls. And she started with supporting these girls by herself in her 1-bedroom apartment. So can you imagine what it takes to be somebody who gives up your life for young children and really goes above and beyond and takes care of them as if they are her own daughters? So I think for me, honestly, Riddhi, for me, the stories that impressed me the most were the stories of people who did things that I don't think I can do myself. I don't think I'm as kind or as generous a person as Bibi. I don't think I'm as ingenious as a Chawang Norfell. I don't think that I have the courage of an Arunima, or even for that matter, the courage of an Afroz to do something that seems so difficult that you don't know where to start, right? So those are the stories that made the most impact for me, because I felt like if this person can do it, surely I can also do it. So those were the stories that surprised me the most.
Wow, such a wonderful session, I must say. And ma'am, I also have one session. I know that we are running out of time, but I have one
I'm happy
question.
to answer.
So, ma'am, we have really young minds and young audience today. Yeah, they're going to be young writers as well in future. So, I just want to let the audience know that lies a responsibility on the shoulder of a writer.
Yeah.
To write in such a way that our reader should feel that story, that they are part of that story. So while making such stories, no one knows the efforts behind the writer that took to make such documenting such stories. So, ma'am,
Right.
can you just tell all the audience that what were the difficulties that you faced when writing such stories? Because there are a lot of stories which are breaking the barriers of the society. Some affect the privacy of some people also. So,
Yeah.
how did you face those difficulties as well, ma'am?
So the first thing that we had to do was do a lot of research. And some of these people are very well known, so there's a lot of information about them. Some of these people are not very well known, so that was a bit challenging. And then, of course, because you're writing about real people, you have to be very respectful, and you have to make sure that you're not what we call misrepresenting, which is like writing something that's not true, or writing something that is slightly true, but you're changing it, adding little tadka of your own, making it a little bit of a, masaledar khichdi. So we had to make sure that we weren't doing that. And I think for us, the biggest challenge, as I mentioned in the very beginning of our conversation, is that we have never written for kids before. We hadn't written for kids before. We were writing for adults. And there's a particular way that you write for adults. But there is a very different way that you write for kids. And it was an unlearning process for us, because we had to realize that, hey, we are talking to children, as young as 6 years old, 7 years old. Now, how do you talk to kids in a way that you still get the message across, you still make it interesting and exciting for them, but you don't lose the essence of the story, right? So it took a lot of reading. It took a lot of asking my friends who had young children, please give your child to read this, and do they like the story? And then I would get feedback. So for the first time in my life, you could say that I had bosses who were 20 years younger than me, because I was getting feedback from kids who were 6 and 7. And when kids are that young, they don't hold back. Their feedback is very honest. So they'd be like, this story is boring. And I was like, okay. Now I have to figure out how to make the story interesting. So I think that it was a challenge, because it was something we had never done before. It was exciting because we felt like these books could really improve people's lives and could really bring amazing new stories to the fore. And it was also funny because we had so many moments where we were like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And we had to kind of find a way, find the enthusiasm, find the creativity to make it past those difficulties, right? So even though we aren't climbing mountains or we aren't building robots, we got a little bit of a taste of what it means to persevere, what it means to push through even when things seem really difficult. I mean, there were days when I wasn't sleeping because I was working till say 3:34 in the morning, waking up again at 7, again starting work. So there are difficult days, but I'm so very proud of what we've been able to do. And I have to say that the job of a writer is very exciting, because you get to live so many people's lives in the process of writing about their stories. So I feel like all these people are my friends, even though we've never met. And that is such a lovely part of my job, is that I can feel like I'm living so many people's lives and making so many new friends.
So true. And like after today's session, we are going to take a lot of things with together. Like one of the beautiful things you said, that do something for which you are ready to wake up in the morning and go for that work. So we really inspired for that.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure being a part of this session.
I really enjoyed myself.
And it will be a really great pleasure to read these books. Our audience can please get their book of copy and from the links provided in the description, or visit a crossword store in the city. The session was supported by Jagannath Publication. You can get your copy from Jagannath Pub website as well. A must-read book for the generation today and for the younger minds as well. Wish you a very happy reading, friends. I once again thank you both, all the audience and our speaker for today. Now, audience, please get ready for the quiz based on this session and visit www.oclfnagpur.com to participate in a quiz and win exciting gifts and prizes. A gigantic Orange Literature Festival is going to be organized in the month of November. So please be ready for that. And I once again thank you so much, all of you. Keep following us for the updates of the Festival of Words. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us.
Bye.